Afternoon everyone, welcome to Wild Earth. My name is Mark.
Good afternoon, my name's Alex.
And together we're going to bring you a fantastic afternoon this afternoon. We had a phenomenal morning this morning. We had, well you had.
Yeah, I've got a good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I saw, Djuma, the leopard. Quite a nice lengthy encounter with him. And then I left him, and then Mark graciously informed me that there was some buffalo heading towards where we knew there were some lions. So we did see some exciting action with the lions this morning. So yeah, it was quite a productive morning on my side. How was your morning?
Well, it was great. I mean, I ended up seeing 3 lion and 2 leopards because I got back to Djuma and eventually found him heading up the drainage line just up from the big jackalberry, and Karula was back at the jackalberry, so we got to see her for a little while.
Excellent.
Unfortunately, it kind of coincided with the time that the buffalo were busy doing their thing, so I think viewers were more being shown what was happening with the buffalo. Karula was a flat cat. She was flying flat next to the base of that big jackalberry. But you're going to be heading there eventually.
Yeah, I'll be heading eventually to Karula. What I'm going to do first of all is check out some of the dams. They are quite full at the moment. It's a pretty hot afternoon. It's probably about, what, early 30s in the temperature?
Yeah, low 30s.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit, sorry. So yeah, I'm going to check out the dams and eventually make my way to go and see some leopard. What are your plans, Mark?
Well, I want to go see those cats. I mean, the big ones that ate a big bovine. Since I missed it this morning, I want to go and catch up with them to see how far they've got. They're probably resting. They've probably eaten their full, and they're probably flat cats, but who knows? I think that the interesting thing would be to see if there are any vultures and things that have come in.
Yeah.
It's not always that vultures and jackal and the whole succession of scavengers actually come to a kill, but who knows? We might be lucky later. It'd be nice to go and check out that buffalo kill and see what's happened there, and then from there do a little bit of a drive while in between you're checking the dams. And then I'd like to eventually get there later this afternoon when it starts cooling down, because I think that's when they might be waking up and some things might be happening. Yeah. Would be very interesting to see if some hyenas start coming in and how the males react to hyenas coming in towards their kill.
Yeah, that would be interesting activity to see.
So, enough chat, I reckon, and let's go and see what we can find for you. Join us for the next few hours, folks. Okay. We'll see you on drive. Cheers, Alex.
Good luck, Mark.
Jason on drive with Alex, Brian and Colonel Thumb. Who's the thumb today?
Thanks, Colonel.
Bye, guys. Enjoy.
Bye. Good luck.
Good luck, guys.
So we're off to see the wizard. Well, not quite the wizard. We're off to see the lion. Who was with the wizard? Oh. And we need to catch up on the radio. The Umas. There's news already coming in over the radio that the Kumas are east of Djuma. They're up on Torchwood, Cruise Camp Way. As I was saying to Alex when we were coming out off the Termite Mountain, you can see a couple of really big thunderstorms that are brewing in the west. I'm pretty sure that that's all that they're going to do, because they move up along the escarpment. Sorry. So we're going to follow. I see Aubrey's heading out already, heading towards those buffalo, leaving Vuyatela Lodge. So we'll go and join him up there. Hopefully we'll be able to squeeze in, see if I can chat to him without disturbing our signal. Maybe just switch off the engine and use.
So did Dean just say I'm live?
You are live.
Hello everybody. Okay. Good afternoon everybody. Not expecting to see you guys back so soon, but nice to see you anyway. Yeah, as we discussed with the opening, I'm going to make my way slowly towards some of the dams, just have a poke around and see if there's any activity down there. 'Cause it is a hot day, and some of the animals will be coming down to drink. Even though we have had quite a lot of rainfall, there are a lot more. Okay, sorry about that, I've just having a conversation in my ear. Even though we have been getting a lot more rain recently, a lot of the animals will still be coming down to the ponds because they are the more known and frequented water sources in the area. So with a bit of luck, we'll see some activity down there. Please remember, this is an interactive drive for you. It's not just about me driving around and talking. You feel free to ask questions. You email your questions to questions@WildEarthTV, or if you're on Twitter, you can tweet us at #SafariLive. And VM, who's in the control room this afternoon, will feed the questions to me and Mark, and we'll do our best to answer them for you. So I've just seen some tracks, I'm just double checking them. So just another bit more of a recap from this morning. We went back to where we last saw Karula last night. She wasn't around when I got there. One of her sons from a previous litter by the name of Djuma, he was in the undergrowth, just having a bit of a rest, and then he proceeded to climb up the tree where there was an impala carcass stash, and he looked like he was thoroughly enjoying his breakfast. So just bear with me, one of my doors is half open, I just need to shut it. Jason's just managed to spot something just a little bit before I did, something on the road ahead. It's what you were wanting to see, wasn't it, this morning? Awesome. Yeah, it looks like we've got a bit of a standoff, folks. Who's got the biggest bull bars? Right, that joke. Not too close because I want to aggravate this chap or cause him any distress. I'm just going to park a little bit forward just so we're in the shade. I don't think he wants to give up his shady spot either. Okay, we've got a fairly sizable big African buffalo in front of us. And he doesn't look too concerned that we're right in front of him. He's got a pretty impressive set of horns on him, really nice boss as well. You can actually, I'm trying to think of the word, basically where they will have been rubbing their boss against trees, against termite mounds, just to give them a bit of a clean and get rid of any parasites. Sometimes they do chip and knock bits of the boss off. And you can see some nice patternization on those. Okay. Just had some news through from control. Looks like Mark's onto something. I think he's got his signal back, so apologies if you did lose his signal previously. But yeah, Mark's got something interesting for you, so I'll hand you over to Mark. Enjoy, guys.
Well, welcome back to me and Brian and the thumb and the magnetic monkey. We're off to see the wizard. Beautiful storm that's actually brewing over the escarpment. I wanted to stop before we're approaching Sandy Patch, because we are, and off to my right is the first sign of a vulture that has come in. Has been beautiful weather today, and with it of course comes the thermals and the kind of skies that the vultures love to soar in. And so it looks like we might be able to experience some very important behavior or sequence of events that takes place when lion make a kill. You know, very often people expect the same things to happen time and time again. It's almost expected that the vultures come in, and then the jackal and the hyena and the scavengers and the different species of vultures. Are you finding it hard because I'm moving? But I'm just trying to reshape that whole picture like that. So it will be very interesting to see. I can see some raptors flying very, very high that haven't started dropping yet, and I think it's possibly because a vulture like that is sitting quite a distance away from the kill, because they don't really want to give it away, but they want to be close enough that they're going to be able to go in when it's time to go in, when it's time to drop down, when the cats are not on the carcass. We also need to look at the sky later, because there's a huge mushroom building up and further south of this big storm that we are looking at. I can see another vulture in a tree further on. Now, I'm not even sure where this is, but I'm guessing to go up this way. In fact, there are a bunch of vultures further on. Now, it's very difficult sometimes when you don't know where a kill is and you suddenly see a bunch of vultures in a tree, because they will spread out over maybe a 200 or 300 meter radius, and it's very difficult. The one thing one can do is, when you actually do know where a kill is and you are at the kill, to actually look at the vultures from a distance while you're at the kill, and to try and get an idea of how they behave and which way they look, because they all pretend not to look at the kill. Got another tree off to my right that has got a, now that was a white-backed vulture. Here on our left is a very important vulture. It's called the hooded vulture, although it's a little bit silhouetted. It's a very, very bright sky. Brian's saying he's never had to drop the iris and the ND levels on the camera so low. But that's a hooded vulture, it's one of the smallest vultures, and most probably one of the first vultures to arrive here. And it's probably because of that vulture's presence that these others have come in. And what you can really bank on is the fact that when there is a hooded vulture like that, the hooded vulture, being a very small vulture, is going to be a lot closer to the kill than the bigger white-backed, white-headed, well, a lot of the other bigger vultures. And here are the boys. Going to have to move back. We've got some vehicles coming in, and Aubrey, we can see two of the boys come. Don't get out of your car, dude. Hello. Move so that grass isn't in his face, Brian. Signs of a very hot and very well-fed cat. The amount of panting, or rather the intensity of the panting, but a full stomach and a hot lion trying to regulate body temperature. But perhaps easing the discomfort of a very, very full stomach, because that's what lions do, especially in under these circumstances where they weren't very, very hungry. They had been eating, and they killed this buffalo, and they've now filled themselves up with hot temperatures. This is the best they can do, is just lie in the shade and try and digest this meat as comfortable as possible. Oof. Hello, Jody in Sydney. Jody in Sydney was asking, I need to move back, another vehicle coming through, we need to give it space. Neighbouring lodges, the vehicle just sneaking through. Oh, it was a Mvula that was at Buffelshoek Dam. Maybe Liam, you can tell Alex that Mvula was up there near. Oh, maybe we can see him since that one's sleeping. We'll try and move so that we can get a. He's got very intense eyes, this lion. But I need to move just. Maybe there. I can see further into the bush there's a worry bush there where there seems to be with the third male who's probably feeding now. Aubrey is there. We'll try and move in and get a better look. If he moves along. Jody was asking about white lion. Jody was asking whether there have been or if there are white lions here in Djuma. And I don't think so, Jody. White lions have mostly occurred, well, naturally that is, up in the Timbavati, and pretty much only in the Timbavati until recently. And recently there was a pride of lion quite deep in the Kruger that have produced some white cubs, and I would imagine that what it is that there's an offspring of one of the prides here in the Timbavati that carries the recessive gene that is made up with a mate somewhere up there in Kruger that carried the recessive gene, and the throwback has been some white cubs born somewhere deep in Kruger. Unfortunately, I think recently, in fact, a number of cubs were killed in the Timbavati. There's a pride of lion known as the giraffe pride, which is very close to the gate of the Timbavati, and a pride that I don't get to see very often. But I do see them from time to time, and I have spent hours and hours with them when I come back from town and I've been shopping and I come in through the gate. And since I have no time restraints, once I'm in the gate and I'm on my way home, if it takes me 5 hours to get home, then so be it. Even if all the ice is melted and the food is defrosted, it's worth it because I don't see them often, and the times that I can spend with them. But anyways, so they have suffered a similar fate to Karula. They've lost a lot of their cubs, including I think 2 white ones recently. And the possibility there is that it was incoming males that did it. There are a couple of big coalitions there. I have a coalition of 4 big males back home, and could have been them if they've moved that far south. I'm going to try and get in while we can, because we might have to move on. If there are other vehicles that are going to be coming here later this afternoon, we are going to need to give them some space. So for the time being, I want to try and get in here. I want to have a look at this big male that is feeding on the carcass. It's quite a nice angle from here, and I was thinking that maybe if we went around to the west, we might even be able to see a little bit better with the light coming in from the west. But for the time being, if we can just get difficult, it's very light behind him. They certainly got it well hidden, and go a bit forward, right? Yeah. A lot of flies have collected on the carpet. Naturally, they seem to have already opened up the stomach contents. It's very common for cats to start feeding from the rump. Of course, the hindquarters and the hip have some of the richest meat. And I'm just looking at the size of this buffalo. You know, this morning the word was that it was killing a youngster, a calf, but this is not a calf. This is actually quite a big buffalo. Just want to mention something to, like, send a message to Alex. Philippines, come in. Oh, you already got that. Vula Ingwe, Buffelshoek Dam. Funny how it never rains, it pours. A week ago we were battling to find even a lion track, and now we've got a buffalo kill. We've got Karula and one of her youngsters off of Gari Cutline, and up at Buffelshoek Dam we've got the father, Mvula. So at least 3 leopard and 3 lion on the property this afternoon. Fine, I'm going to try and squeeze us around the other side so that we're not seeing him from behind. I just want to also just mention, I know this might be sensitive to some viewers. Some viewers might be squeamish when it comes to this kind of thing, but this is merely a cat eating its meal. It's no different from the cat crunching on its kibbles in the bowl. Well, it is different. It's just on a bigger scale. But it is also what we are here to experience. This is wonderful to see flowers and the peaceful way nature spends most of its time. But at the same time, we do need to experience, we do need to touch sides, we have to experience the reality of what nature really is. And he's moving away. Nothing because of what I've done, but it looks like a fairly big buffalo cow that he killed. And I suppose since he's decided to give up on it, well, let's go back to the boys. We don't need to really dwell too much on the loss of this poor soul's life. She was an adult buffalo. She must have led a very interesting life. And sadly, today was her day. It's a very big buffalo that they got. Not as big as a bull. It's still a fairly big buff. Jacqueline wanted to know something about lion. Jacqueline really wanted to know about the predators of the likes of lion and leopard. And, well, being such predators, of course, their enemies are everything from, look at that, more vultures there. Vultures that I'm not seeing any coming out of the sky, but there are vultures that are collecting. There's a variety in this tree. I can see 2 hooded vultures, one on the top right and one on the bottom right, and the rest look like white-backed vultures in the center and to the left. You can see the difference in the size of the heads of the different species, because hooded vultures are very much smaller and they need to get to the softer parts of the carcass. But now that the third one has moved off and he's gone to lie down with his brothers, I want to sit here and see if any of the vultures are going to be brave enough to come in, and that might be interesting to watch. So, sorry dude, I don't want it, sorry. Just turning. Making sure that no cars are going to come and disturb you by blocking the road. I'm causing a roadblock. Look at those eyes. He's looking up now. He's actually seeing vultures coming in. Yeah, they're starting to drop out of the sky. We're going to see how they look up at them. What'll be interesting is to see if any of these vultures do come anywhere near the carcass, and how the lion maybe chase them away. The fact that there are vultures dropping out of the sky is going to attract the attention of other things, whether it's other lion or hyena. Leopard will certainly take note, but they will probably, if anything, avoid the area because they'll know that the likes of their enemies are going to be coming in. So for Jacqueline, this is the answer to your question, is that the predators themselves are their own worst enemies, and leopard are their own worst, and lion are the worst enemies of the lion. But there is intraspecific predation, and there is also the fact that lion prey on leopard and hyena. Well, they don't prey on them, but they like to kill them. They like to eliminate competition, and hyena like to eliminate competition. So hyena will kill lion or leopard or cheetah cubs in the blink of an eye. Lion will kill any other predator's cubs or adults in the blink of an eye, if they can get hold of them. So it is kind of a dog eat dog and cat kill cat world out here. Most of the time, however, they kind of live in harmony. They kind of live in a semi-truce kind of state, in that if you don't cross too many boundaries, things will be fine, because lion have their territories. Within their territories there are going to be leopard territories and hyenas living in their dens, so they are going to come across each other. Look at that, that's quite a touching brother putting his paw on his other brother's shoulder just to get a little bit of air. But yeah, that's not good enough. It makes me uncomfortable. He says, I want to just lie down in peace, not with your paw on my shoulder. Beautiful eyes, this cat. Of course there is disease, there's that's actually a nice position we're in now. I think I was talking about two different things once. Predation of cats and the like. And also I was talking about the vultures and what vultures might or might not do. And well, the biggest problem the vultures have at the moment is that the killer's under a pretty heavy piece of, or a little guarri bush, very nice guarri bush I might add, and buffalo thorn. And for them to get at it, they will be extremely vulnerable because they can't take off there. I can see that other male is going through the bush here in front of us. I think he's going to toilet. That's what he's doing. Which is a nice thing to do, boy, because please don't do it here. Invariably the cats will chase the vultures off as soon as they try to land, as soon as they try to come down, and if they were to even go anywhere near that meat, they'd be tucked underneath those branches and they wouldn't be able to take off very fast, rather. And I think that makes them so vulnerable that that's why they're kind of hanging around. I need to change positions because I'm actually between the cats and the kill, and it's not a good position to be in. And that's not because they're going to get upset with me, because this particular point in time they couldn't really care less, unless I was a hyena or a vulture or another lion, in which case they'd get a little bit possessive. But they know that I don't want to eat any buffalo today. Not very appetizing with all the flies and the stomach contents spilling out. Well, not very appetizing for me as a human, but I'm sure it would be quite the dish for a hyena or another lion, and I need to let them have access to it. And I also need to be away, just so that if there are any vultures that want to try, we need to be a little bit distant so that we can see how things play out. No, we're not going to be seeing any jackal or hyena as yet, I don't think, because it's still pretty hot. They are most likely sleeping right now. Oh, here's its tail. That's interesting. I must have killed it almost right here, because I've just found its tail. And what's very, very strange is that each one of these little boys, when they were cubs, would have held on to that tail for a day or two as a prize, as a crown. And now, of course, they couldn't care less. Oh, it's not Mbula. Fast. Unless he was super cat and he had a cape and blue underwear and he flew there.
Well, you never know.
I've given you an idea for your thumb. Super cat. Catwoman. Anyways. Hello, Chitra, Chitra. But I guess we've got the hat in the way of the cats. The cat in the hat. Or are they on the hat?
A little bit. Now they're on the hat.
There.
That almost looks like a lion.
I should tell them it's not fawn coloured, it's lion coloured. So, cat on the hat. Oh, such a noise on the radio. But nice to know. And I was thinking that Alex might be able to get up to Buffelshoek Dam. I'm not sure if he is or is able to, but it sounds like that leopard is now moving deep into thick bush north of the dam. But he'll then probably come out on the fire break and walk back up along Buffelshoek cut line or something. I'm laughing because two of the oldest guards of the area are giving each other a stick on the radio. Texan has just come out and he's wants sort of an update, and he said he's coming up to the lion, and Ephraim said no, they've moved to the west. So he said, well, he'll go to the leopard at Buffelshoek Dam, and Ephraim said no, he's moved on. So Texan said, well, or rather Ephraim said no, can't go to Buffelshoek, it's closed. But anyways, it's good banter, it's good light-hearted chat, it's a great relief after a little bit of, well, just days and days of just the normal radio procedure and tension with no cats on Western Gowrie. Always happens. And now we have cats everywhere, full of impala and full of buffalo, and looking for more. I'll turn it down. Very, very, very interesting. There are three very interesting questions coming from Scotland. Ron was saying that it's very interesting that they tolerate us during the day, but that it becomes completely the opposite in the evening when we become prey. And that's not really true, Ron. It doesn't really change that much in the evening. And what it is they're tolerating us a lot more in the vehicles than they do on foot. And I've very, very seldom experienced wild lion that do tolerate us on foot, unless it's from a considerable distance away where you're not threatening them. And I've walked with lion in many different countries here in Africa. So from lion that don't get to see people very often in the Okavango Delta to vultures dropping, to lion that are very accustomed to vehicles because they'd been studied and they'd been exposed to humans, that in the Selous Game Reserve, to lion here in the Sabi Sand, the Timbavati, the whole of Kruger, where they see vehicles a lot. Lion do have a very distinct difference to their reaction to humans, either in the vehicle or on foot. And even in the vehicle it can vary, because there are closed vehicles that drive around Kruger that sometimes come through here, and then there are the game drive vehicles. And then there is a vehicle like ours which actually has a completely different profile altogether, and there are times when we've noticed, or I've noticed, that cats behave quite negatively towards this new concept, because it's not rows of seats with a bunch of people, it's just this one big camera person. Bless you, young man. And at night that reaction to us doesn't really change. There is the added danger for us because we don't see very well at night, and if we were to be out walking at night, which nobody ever really does, and not in their right mind at any rate, but there's one thing that we shouldn't really do, and that is walk around at night, because we don't have nocturnal vision, and they will be able to tell that we can't really see what we're doing, so we would be a target, whereas we wouldn't be during the day. So from that point of view, you're right in that sense. But I think it's largely got to do with just a nurturing and the nature of the animal, in that a little bit of a combination of the two. When lion are born, the only time they only ever get taken to the adult kills, which are local antelope and the local animals that don't include us humans. And I think if they suddenly got a little bit industrious and learned how to maybe take a person off of the back of a vehicle, which, God forbid, they've actually picked up on that thought now, and they learned how easy, who knows, that might be something that they'd pass on, or they might continue to do because they would find it easy, because they are opportunists. But the fact is that their mothers have never done it, and as cubs they never saw any other lion doing it. So the whole process of raising predators by their mothers precludes us from being that item of prey that they associate everything else with, because they've got to see it, they've got to feel it, they've got to smell it, they've got to taste it, they've got to see it alive, they've got to feel it. Oh, there's a hooded bucket. Was trying to drop in. Look, it's one of the closest vultures now coming in. And that's mostly because one lion has moved quite far away, and these two boys are uncomfortably numb. To steal from Pink Floyd, they got full tummies, they can't be anywhere near sleep, they just got to while away the hours while they digest all of that. And this brave bird that's now decided it's going to come in for a closer look, and going to take a chance that maybe they won't see or hear it, drop down and sneak in for a few snacks. And they probably wouldn't really mind if it's just sort of one hooded vulture, because hooded vultures actually become almost neighbors to some of the predators. Being such a small vulture, and because they soar at a very low altitude, they're very often the first vulture, if not the first raptor, to arrive on the kill, and very often they'll actually follow predators just so that they can pick up on scraps from time to time. they don't soar very high, so they don't cover a very large area. They can only rely on, from about 100 to 200 feet, they can only rely on the local predators below them, whereas vultures that are flying at 2,000 feet are relying on 20 different hooded vultures that are looking for predators. They don't need to look for predators or prey themselves or carcasses. They only have to look for hooded vultures below them, and below them battalier and tawny eagles, who are also scavengers. So it's not about having such fantastic eyesight that you can see from 2,000 feet up or 5,000 feet, as is the case of the leopard-faced vulture. And if you consider the leopard-faced vulture, it's flying at 5,000 feet, it can see probably a dozen different thermals full of white-backed vultures, who are all looking at dozens and dozens of hooded vultures below them. And that vulture stacking is what gets birds to a place so very quickly, because they seem to come out of nowhere. Meanwhile, they're just coming out of extremely high altitudes. Our storm is lightening up and it's bringing us this heat. But you were filming meerkats in different dry heat to this.
Yeah, this is humid heat. The humidity is killer.
It is, you're right. But it's Africa and I love it.
Indeed, indeed.
And the unique but I'm thinking maybe we should just take a ride up to Sydney's Dam, do a route around and come back, because at the moment everybody knows not much is going to happen. That's what I said this morning, and then they made a kill. However, I don't want to go far. I want to do a short loop up to Sydney's Dam, down to maybe Aubrey's Road, and then come back here. Don't think much is going to change in the next few minutes. I'm going to get some close up there, really close on those giant canine teeth. And you can look right into his mouth. If I go forward, no. A hot and panting lion right in our face. Getting closer than this would be a little bit too impersonal. I'm sort of on the edge of their safety, their comfort zone, which I have to admit is far greater than it normally is, because those bellies are so full. And much in the line of the last question that was asked, they know that I'm not going to drive over them. They know that I'm not going to chase them, because just as much as they've learned growing up that we're not prey, they've learned that we're not a predator. We're not a threat to them. I'm quite sure that there are times we're a nuisance to them because we spend time in their lives, but as long as it's only for short periods of time, and I doubt it's not anything to do with forgetting as much as it is forgiving, I guess. That they accept that for times in their life we are here. And even sometimes I think some of the animals find that we can be a bit of a comfort, because if we're around they can be comfortable that nothing else is going to come around, I guess. Kind of like how I feel about them when I have lion and elephant and animals around my home, my bungalow at home. I'm far more comfortable, because I know as long as I've got lion and elephant and hyena and big wild tooth and claw animals with trunks and tusks, nobody's going to come near me. And I'm only really afraid of humans. I'm not afraid of these children. We live together. want to show you the difference between this dirty boy. He's got a really, he's put his face in that carcass that's made him really, really grubby. And then you can just sort of have a look at his brother, who is like the metrosexual of the three. It's like almost like he's blow dried his mane after eating. Not a spot of blood, not a spot of mud. Mascaraed eyes. There we go. Got the eyes. Good night, boy. Now that you're going to experience what it's like to sit in the late afternoon on a summer's day with only nature sounds and sleeping lions. Okay, I need to move again so we can see his face better. We might be doing a bit of this afternoon as they move around. I'm afraid you're going to have to maybe give that to me again, please. Confirm Sierra Yankee Lima. Okay, go. Aha, okay, finally got that message. I think it's from Sil. Sierra Yankee Lima. About the blonde boy of this crowd. Saying that he was with the sisters of the Salatis. Was it the sisters of the Salatis? Now, we saw that. In fact, I think I took a photograph or two for you, Saul. Because as we were coming to work yesterday, day before, we saw them on just off of the Buffels of cut line going into Manyaleti. And there was a big male with 3 beautiful females, some very, very nice. So those must have been the Salati's sisters. And one of their brothers was mating with them. And today I saw tracks coming out of Manyaleti. Well, they didn't come out of Manyaleti, but they headed south from that spot and headed to a sort of a dam area. There's a dam that's halfway up that cut line, which is about a quarter of the way to Manyaleti main camp. I saw lion tracks. So it either could have been that blondie after he's been mating, or otherwise could be a brother, one of the 5th missing brother, and that other male, because if he's mating, it's going to take him a while. It takes them a few days. The lioness comes into estrus can be well over a week that she's in estrus, so very often you'll get multiple males contributing to the gene pool, because although males are able to mate every 20 or 30 minutes, it's pretty hard to keep it going for more than a week for even the best of us. He's a beautiful lion, but he's really good, a little bit grubby from being inside that buffalo carcass. I'm expecting they might still be here even tomorrow morning. It's a big carcass, there's quite a lot to eat. They've had a lot of their fill today. I'm sure they're not going to let anyone come near it tonight, even though they're probably going to be hyena, no doubt, hyena sniffing around. Looks like might even be a little bit of a front moving up, because there's weather going up there hotter now than it was even at midday. But a beautiful close-up. If you want to take note of his whisker spots, you can mark the number of whisker spots and where they are situated. He's actually only got one super spot. Normally 3 lines of whisker spots, and then it's the superimposed whisker spots above that top line of spots. They don't really have whiskers, but they're just spots. And he's only got one really close to his nose above maybe the 2nd or 3rd spot. But one of the identifying features of lion, because they don't have the patterns that leopard or cheetah have, so there are, aside from scars and nicks in the ear, there are a number of different ways that you can determine or distinguish individuals. Sure. Okay, I'm going to move again so we can have a little bit of shade, well, sun behind us. Let's catch some of these vultures dropping out of the sky if we can. That's a challenge for you, Brian. No, that's not really that much of a challenge. Brian can do that pretty well. But the wind is out, and it's time for... I'm just circling to have a look first to try and get an idea, because it's no use landing if you don't know where it is, because you might not be able to see it once you land. And it's very much the same thing when I find a lot of vultures that are in trees. It's no use driving straight to the spot because I don't know where exactly the kill or the carcass may be. And it's for the same reason that often vultures, they don't necessarily circle. The real circling that you might see or you might associate with vultures is actually when they leave the carcass or they leave the area because they're trying to get into a thermal and they're trying to gain height. But what these vultures are doing is they're doing figure eights. They want to establish where exactly the kill is, because there's no ways they can see it from up there. They might be able to see the lion. Well, there's no might about it. They can definitely see the lion. They can definitely see all the other vultures. But it's no use landing in a tree, because then when the squabble happens, and when the time comes when you've got to get in there, if you don't know which direction to fly, you're going to be last in line because everyone's going to be there before you know where it is. Or it might just be that this one's camera shy. It's just not coming down. It will. Not many. There were a few that came in. That one's actually been in a thermal and has been getting higher. It's decided that it's not really worth it. Maybe even this late in the afternoon. Not worth it. Oh, he's moving. Finding it a bit hot here. I think he wants to go in the toilet, so I'm going to let him do that. Or at least not follow him just yet. I'm sure he might want to go in the toilet and then lie down fairly close by where he can find some other shade. There's that hooded vulture just above him. Might be a puddle there that maybe they want water from. Some sort of depression. Because he's lying in the sun now. Oh, golly gosh. Thank you. Oh, there's the other brother. Yeah, there is a pond. I don't know if we're going to be able to get in here to see him, because if this boy is here, no, he's coming out. He's not going to drink. He just wants some cool grass to lie in. Here's some perfect shade. Look at that. Just. I'm a fat cat, flat cat. Very well. Let's rephrase that. I'm an uncomfortable fat cat, flat cat. Right, so just a short drive. We've got to go and see what's happening. Maybe some ellies or something. We're just going to take a quick ride up to Biffles of Cutline and have a look at the dam, just to get some air moving, because it's getting pretty hot. Getting hotter than it was 2 hours ago. I think we're getting higher up in the 30s. Okay, copy, thanks. Have I found anything there? Okay, copy. So it wasn't Mvula that was at Buffelshoek Dam, it was Djuma, or they say it's Djuma, means that maybe it was quarantine male that was with Karula. I think Alex is he is up towards Buffelshoek Dam at the moment, trying to get a glimpse of something. And I think that probably he'll make his way back to Gary Cutline where Karula was, get a glimpse of her. So this is where we found these boys this morning. They haven't moved far. Small white-headed, white-backed vultures that are biding their time in probably one of the furthest trees away. They will be filling the trees quite slowly. Some of them will even overnight here. They'll probably wager their they'll sort of weigh up the costs of flying home or just staying here and being able to feed in the morning. And a lot more coming in. Teresa. Are these lions not being a little bit reckless now, mating at such a young age? Because they aren't really full-grown males. Are they not being a bit reckless mating with the likes of the Salati males? I mean females. Oops. Something up ahead, he's only just called it in. There's also a vulture up in this tree, so I'm not sure what they might be here. They might have something very interesting. And we'll get back to that question shortly, because that is a very interesting question. Why would they be mating if they're not really that dominant just yet? And there's always the chance, oh, it's a leopard. So close to these lions. Wow. It's Mvula. It is the boy. Just kind of position himself in there. A little bit of a gap, just to get a little bit of a view of his head. Not much we can do better than that, unless I go back a little bit. He's not really going to be fond of that, because let Tex get, there we go, Tex get into position, and let me turn around, Brian. Turn around, we've got a better angle of him. Also, there are a number of vehicles that are coming into this this lion sighting, which means that there's going to be a need for us to move on. In fact, it might even be that for now, much as I want to be with Mvula, we just happened to chance upon it. So I'm just going to carry on as I was, going up to Buffelshoek the cut line into Sydney's Dam. A very awkward spot there for Mvula. He's sitting quite close to the road, looking into the sun. There's quite thick vegetation. Texan has managed to find a spot just to the western side of him. And I know a lot of these vehicles want to get to the lion and see the lion kill because they want to show their guests the lion killed and the buffalo. So I suppose it is just as well that we've decided to take a little bit of a drive and allow the guests to all do that, and then so they will hopefully move along later on in the afternoon and we can get back to them. But for the time being, I've already heard a number of vehicles that are even coming up here to Mvula. Yes, he's in danger. No, he's not. If anyone's thinking that because he's so close to the lion, they're so full that he could probably walk past them and they would ban and they would not give a half-hearted chase, but he would be just much more agile than they could be at a stage with full buffalo bellies or full bellies full of buffalo. So he's not really in that much of a danger. Funny that he is there, and it could very well be because of the vultures that are coming in. Now, leopard are not opposed to scavenging, and if these 3 Birmingham males decide tomorrow at some point enough and they want to move on, because they will move far, they'll move quite a distance away from this hill, and then they'll be a sort of will be jackal unless from this open area, but they'll definitely hyena vultures and will be able to dominate over them. In hyena and vultures, jackal maybe not so much. He won't be able to dominate much, outnumber him, but
settled down after a while. But from here, not really seen much. But there's nothing really been anything to
get it sorted and get you back in the vehicle with us.
supposedly coming out of here there's a greater cuckoo just gone overhead. He's going to be here shortly. I can hear Texan's vehicle is just a little bit in from where we are. I was hoping that he'd sort of come up onto this termite mound next to us, but we've come back to find a Mvula who's now on the move. As hot and as humid as it is this afternoon, seems the cats are not true to their form in that they are quite okay with moving around in this humidity. I can see Texan coming through where I was hoping for a leopard to come through. So he's coming maybe behind us somewhere. So, best place is just to wait it out and see. Spot. I thought you spotted a spot on a leopard. But what a leopard can do is it can pretend to be walking in one direction, and then as soon as everybody's waiting for it somewhere, they all just... There he is. Coming out there. Now he's actually making his way back towards Sydney's Dam. He's turned around a little bit. He's heading more sort of northwest. There he comes, this magnificent leopard. Pausing on the edge of the bush because he doesn't want to walk out into the open without knowing what he might be walking into. So it's all very well walking through the bush because I guess there's a lot of confidence in that. But he's now coming out into the open. And I just want to turn and face because he's continue coming out. For a day like today, probably a little bit thirsty, possibly, and you want to head down towards Sydney's Dam and go and have a drink of water. So for now, we just maybe quietly we can watch what he does. There were some impala here. There was a small bachelor herd of impala here earlier. And another reason why he doesn't want to just walk out into the open is that he doesn't want to just expose himself. So he'll come out onto the edge of the bush and pause just to make sure that he can enter the open area without being seen. And it's the most perfect light for seeing a leopard in the afternoon. It's gorgeous sunlight. I think we're going to get some fantastic... Thank you, Tex. Going to get some fantastic light on this cat. And with this, so I'm just going to try and find a little bit of gap to get through all of this scrub here on the fire break, so that we can maybe not there. Maybe catch him as he is. No doubt going to sort of head down on Biffles of cut line. Let's see what we can get here.
Okay, welcome back. A bit of a change of scenery to where we left off previously. We've come back into the dip where we saw the Djuma ruler earlier. We first got down here, couldn't quite find that.
Get a bit of a gap here. So he's... Hi, Bernie. Shana Tova. I don't know, it's raining cats. I'm going to have to follow him because well, yeah, he's pretty edging round to the dam to try and get something. Take my camera with you. I can't follow you, but have fun. Yeah, we head off now from this beautiful cat. Bye. Oh, you've lost us. I didn't even talk on the radio. We're back. I thought we lost you. I was worried that we lost you. So, well, I'm just really... I'm really happy that we managed to get Mvula. I mentioned to Bernie now that it's raining cats. I mean, I can't believe how lucky we are today. We're really blessed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hand you over to Alex. I'm going to pass you if Wiem will do that for us. Because we're going to leave Mvula. We're going to drive our way back towards the line, and we're going to see... Oh, we can't go to Alex. All right. Well, we're going to leave Mvula for now. I have no doubt that what he's doing is that he's skirting the edge of this big dam down below here, all around, and he wants to stay fairly well hidden. He wants to sort of, unless he's full, unless he doesn't have any intent, just his everything about him is telling me to do a bit of hunting, and he's sort of edging on deeper into the bush that he can't be seen from the open area around the dam, just in case there's something there. And just like any cat, what he's going to do is he's going to find himself an angle to get a view of something, a glimpse through the trees, that he can slowly make his way. It can take him 3 hours to hunt something if he wanted to. While we're at it, about a 75 yard stretch before he's going to come out onto this open area. Still a little bit early for animals crowding this open area, but there's no doubt the impala and a bunch of animals here later. So Alex evidently is with Karula, but he's got to try and position some way. Sometimes you just have to move that vehicle a few inches. You just have to be very finicky about it to get signal back. So while Alex is trying to get signal back, I'm hoping that we can try and get... These animals dug up this gardenia. That's quite sad. I want to have a look at that. Beautiful Transvaal gardenia here. It's been scratched out of the ground by... maybe not too badly damaged. No, it's fine. It's still solid. I can just show it to you. It's a very stunted gardenia, Transvaal gardenia, with very clear scratch marks in the sand. Just here you can see the darker sand that's been scratched out from this is the gardenia, and the sand that's been scratched out by a very large mammal that's going to be extinct very soon, the way we humans are treating them, or rather not treating them, humans are killing them. Okay, I got that. Okay, I've got it. I just sometimes we asked if we interfere. This is a time I have to interfere. There's a story going on here that I just have to be a part of. Oh no, I don't anymore. It was a dung beetle on her back, his back. The mate was sitting on the dung ball. There are a lot of other little dung beetles and flies flying around it. And it was like a tortoise on its back. It couldn't right itself, and I thought, well, they're just all going to die. But it managed to get itself upright, and then it jumped on top of the ball, got its bearings, and, well, off we go. And those are actually tiny little dung beetles that you can see flying around it. Those are not flies. I think those are little scarabs that are trying to lay their own eggs in that little ball. They're too lazy to make their own. Anyways, they couldn't make something as big as that. And there's a moon rising. I think it's we've got so many cats because the moon's coming up. There's a waxing gibbous moon. just as well like this here. All came right. To Alex with the ruler, I think. Okay, we're trying to get to Alex who's with Karula, and it's amazing because we just had Mvula, who's her current husband. Well, let's not call it husband. The current mate. The current... I got it. We've just been with Mvula. So we'll get you again later.
Hey, welcome back, guys. Apologies for all the breakups in signal. You're joining us in a bit of a dip, so I do apologise if the signal does keep cutting out. Didn't think we could find Karula. We didn't think she was here, and then we came around a corner of the bush and we just kind of spotted her, just tucked away in some thickets. She looks pretty full. As I was mentioning, just a quick recap. We drove.
Oh, 15 years ago.
And we're back with me because Jigga seems to be misbehaving. But signal or... Let me just confirm something. Karula moving. Okay, maybe then try if you switch Alex's game drive radio off. Okay. Alright, copy, then there's something else. Yes, Alan. Bye. Yes, okay. We're not too... Someone's trying to talk to me. Okay, copied. Fred Mvuladung. So he walked pretty close to these lions if he came from this angle. Sure. So what we need to... Oh, look at that. Look at the layers of hills and valleys and looking west over Sander Patch. Miles and miles and miles of bushveld, of animals and elephants. I need to just confirm. Okay, go there then. Back to 2. Okay, we seem to be having such an intermittent signal from Alex. He is sitting with Karula. They're trying to get the signal established with Alex. Quite interestingly, there's a bit of a smog layer, which is unusual. It's just a very thin layer, this sort of bottom layer of brownish, not cloud, that's a little bit of smog actually, believe it or not. There is rural Africa out there, so there are a lot of fires made for cooking and large populations of humans. So we're looking at a good 100 miles to the west where that's sitting over. Okay, copied. Please tell them not to even try and start. Jigger's dead. Jigger has ceased. Jigger, all the money we paid to get it fixed seems to have been a temporary thing. Which means it's going to be a very late night tonight. One cat here. I guess other cats might be on the kill. Just going to see if two of the other boys were still maybe off here somewhere in the bush. I'm not even going to chance talking on the radio right now because I don't want to. But the two boys that seem to have been here, I think they must have moved back towards the carcass because they're not here. And so I'm just going to have to chance it. I just have to talk on the radio. I'm at a sighting. And if it cuts out signal, since we're the only vehicle up and running at the moment, I'm sorry about that. These are the vagaries of driving and broadcasting live. Which station with Ngala and Voyatella? Which station with Nyari Bamba and Voyatella? Might be Texan. So I'm thinking that maybe two of the boys are back on the kill, or at least one. No, there's I see tail wagging, not anywhere near the. Maybe one of them is back there. One boy sleeping here, one boy sleeping there, and looks like one boy is actually eating. Not letting these vultures come in at all. So once again we're actually at the back of him. We get a little bit of a glimpse from behind, but at least we've got the sun behind us, so no real opportunity to get in. Oh, but we're downwind. Don't know how long we'll be able to stand this overwhelming scent of really overwhelming. Delicious smell of this aroma of half-eaten buffalo and smelly lion. My kingdom for this, little bit too much, I think. But I needed to stop. We can move in a little bit further. In fact, I think I might be intimidating him a little bit here because Texan is on the other side. So what I want to do is I want to go back a bit. Is there any way that look, he's pulling it out. He's going to pull it out here into the open for us. Well, hoping he is, because it's not so hot anymore, and there's a nice opening here. We'll wait, maybe we'll get back onto the other side. There's not such a bright sun in the west now to be east of him. And we're not seeing very much now of this little bit of the saga playing out. But we have to just find a position where we can get a glimpse. And he was tugging at it. And one of the main things is to have it tucked away under a bush during the day so that you limit the amount of vultures, that you limit the amount of sun and keep it sort of well hidden. But now that it's sort of getting cooler, now that temperatures are dropping, the sun is setting, there's a nice little open patch for them to pull it into so that they can actually feed more freely, because they can't really get at much of it in there, but it is still quite a heavy carcass. They haven't fed very much on the carcass, so it's still quite heavy. Not too heavy for a single male lion to drag it, but it's kind of wedged in there with that quarry bush. Not a great view at all. The only thing I can suggest is we go there, then I can get a better position here. He's trying to pull at it. I think we're going to switch over to Scott, or rather Alex, and see what he's got, and we'll come back here.
I'm not copying you, mate, sorry. Okay. Welcome back, guys. Yeah, we're still with Karula. She's repositioned slightly. But yeah, welcome back to the jigger. She's just been having a bit of a grooming session with preening. She looks pretty full. She is panting quite heavily. It'll be interesting to see what she does now, because that kill in the tamboti tree, the carcass of the impala, that's been finished off. And the one that she did take a very young impala yesterday afternoon, and that's stashed up in the big jackalberry tree. It's not too far away, so she may potentially go and snack on that later, or she might save it for tomorrow. At the moment, she's pretty flat cat, and she's just relaxing in the shade of the bushes and waiting for the heat of the day to dissipate, because it has been a bit of a stinker. It's been very hot, probably in the mid-30s, I'd imagine. But yeah, we've got a really comfortable cat here. I hope you've all been enjoying your drive with Mark. I believe he's been having quite an adventure. And I hope those lions have been entertaining you guys for the last while. Jason and I have probably been sat here for about, what, half an hour, 40 minutes or so. Just watching Karula, keeping an eye on her, just seeing what happens. And we've seen quite a few nice birds flying around. Just hearing a few various birds as well. There's a couple of kingfishers around. There's a black-backed puffback calling in the background. A few various dove species as well. And a few of the Cape Bossy starlings flying around as well, which is nice. It's going to be quite interesting to see how long Karula does spend in this particular little corner of the Djuma property, especially after the recent events. I mean, obviously she's got a couple of kills stashed away, so she's got a bit of a larder going on. It'll also be interesting to see if Djuma comes back and decides to help himself to the fridge, so to speak, with the baby impala. I also understand that you guys may have had a sight of Mbula as well, which was very fortunate. It'll be interesting to see if these two interact over the next coming weeks. From the locations I've been receiving, he's not a million miles away. He's probably about 5k away. He's not too far. The chance of these two picking up on each other's scent trails and demarcations is pretty likely. I mean, obviously I don't think she'll come back into estrus straight away. It will take a few months, but if there are any telltale signs, then I'm sure he'll hang around for a bit longer. Now, if you do have any questions for us, email your questions through to questions@wildearth.tv, or you can tweet us at #SafariLive, and Vian will more than be willing to feed them through, and I'll answer them as best as I can for you. But in the meantime, we're just nicely relaxed here, just listening to the sounds of the birds, It's quite nice and peaceful and still down here. Nice, relaxing African evening. Unfortunately, we're not getting the full effect of the glorious sunrise. It's as we're in a bit of a dip. Sorry, sunset. Wrong time of day. Just give you a bit of a recap of what Jason and I have been up to this afternoon. As discussed earlier when we had our introduction and said hello to you as you joined us on the drive, we checked out first of all Treehouse Dam. There wasn't a great deal of activity down there. We also checked out Twin Dams and also Buffelshoek Dam. Now, strangely enough, we didn't see any hippos in those dams at all. And usually at least one, maybe two of those dams we do have hippo spending a hot day in there, so it's be quite interesting to see where they have gone and when they will return. I mean, hippos do venture out of the water during days, but not usually days when it's as hot as it has. I mean, it's been gloriously sunny. I seriously doubt any of the hippos would have ventured out to go and forage. Just hearing some strange noises while we're down here, actually. Not entirely sure what they are. It was almost like a crunching. Just gonna, from where we are, we can't really see into where the tamboti tree that clearly, but I'm just gonna use my binos and have a look. Karula's pretty flat. If there is anything up there, she's ignoring it. Yeah, confirmed being Mac and coffee. Just trying to see if there's any signs of movement in that tree. We've been so focused on keeping an eye on Karula, although she has pricked up. A bit of a yawn and a stretch. Okay, maybe it's nothing too distracting for her, but we've definitely heard the sound of something being crunched on. Just had a good question come through from Patty in New York, I think it was, asking if Karula will let any other cats or any other leopards feed on her kill. Yes, we have actually witnessed this over the last couple of days, Patty. We've had Djuma, which is one of the male leopards from Karula's last litter. There's Quarantine and Djuma, which are litter mates. We've actually witnessed Djuma eating or feeding from the impala that's stashed in the tree behind us. I mean, they had a bit of a snarl, as would be expected when you catch your son with his hand in the refrigerator or the cookie jar. Just giving the ticking off, and he did kind of scamper out the tree. But she didn't seem too aggravated or too displeased to a degree where it was going to be anything more than a cursory snarl. And she did continue to let him feed for a while. I'm just getting distracted because there are branches moving in the tree behind. Can't seem to see anything in there. It's a bit too thick from here, from our angle. But sorry, getting back to your question, Patty. She will let other cats, other leopards feed. They will be the offspring of hers. She wouldn't, I'd assume, let other leopards come in and feed on her kill. I mean, a bigger leopard may come and try and take that kill, but I highly doubt it. I'm not too sure if she'd let Mvula or Tingana, who are the big male leopards in the area, come and feed on her kill. But good question, Paddy. Thank you for asking the question. Okay, now, well, we've still got Karula flat cat, and we can't quite see what's happening in the tree behind us. We're going to go back to Mark. I believe he's got Mr. Whiskers for you. So yeah, enjoy your time with Mark, guys. See you soon.
Okay, standing by. What does it mean? Standing by. Sorry, go again. Oh, so I haven't been. Welcome back. Yes, woof. Catching flies. If you've just joined us, we're sitting with 3 big male lions. They are not fully grown adults, they are young adults. I wouldn't call them sub-adults, but they're probably in the region of about 4, maybe 4.5 years old. They've killed a buffalo this morning. It is a fairly large buffalo cow. There was a small group of buffalo that I saw moving up here when after we found them this morning. They were fairly much in the same condition they're in now. They had been feeding and they were relaxing, and the morning was wearing on. It was getting warm. They were getting more and more dozy, as lions do, and a little while after we left, they killed a buffalo and have been feeding on it periodically during the day. The buffalo is stashed under some guarri and buffalo thorn thicket behind us. There are a number of vultures that have cottoned onto the whole deal throughout the day, so there are vultures scattered around in trees that are not going to be able to do anything, because as it starts getting dark now, the vultures can't come down. They won't come down at night, so they will, if they don't leave soon and fly off to their nests, and I can't see that many of them doing it, they will be here overnight, hoping that maybe there's something to come and feed on first thing in the morning, because, well, they're going to be stuck in their trees all night. Fairly bright moon. It's a waxing gibbous moon, so there will be some beautiful moonlight tonight. Not enough for the vultures to be on the ground though. You can look over my shoulder, in fact, into the distance, and that's probably a good 200 yards away, there's a dead tree with some vultures in it. Now they've got direct line of sight to us, to where the kill is. But this is just to reiterate that when you see vultures sitting in a tree, the kill or the carcass or whatever it is that might draw your attention to it can be so far away you'll never really find it. Because that's quite far. There are others that are closer, and what it is that as long as there's a tree that they can get a bit of a line of sight to where the action is happening, that's where they'll be sitting. So they don't sit in just any tree. They'll actually fly around and look for the best vantage point. A lot of flies being attracted by this kill. Oh, look at this coming over my head. Hello, hooded vulture. It's going to sit on the road. Come sit on the road. Probably one of the bravest, but also probably because the lion and the other animals don't really mind. No, it's not coming. I don't really mind the hooded vultures as much as the bigger ones. Being bothered by flies, but they too are going to start calming down. Sorry, not many of the flies that come out in the evenings. There's that hooded vulture. It's just landed just off to my right, above another buffalo thorn. Sneaking closer. Once I think this little vulture wants to come and grab a snack before the day's out. Something that the bigger vultures are not even going to try. This is a fairly small vulture. It's known as the hooded vulture. It flies a very low soaring altitude, or it's not even, I suppose you couldn't even call it altitude. It's just above the treetops to maybe 100, 200 feet. And when we get a little bit of a profile of this vulture's face, you'll see that got a very narrow beak compared to the bigger vultures. Look at that. Somebody calling me. No, don't need it. So a very narrow beak, very small vulture, needs to be first when it comes to time to come down to a kill. He seems to be the most uncomfortable of the three, because he's probably been gorging himself more than the other two. Also seems like he's got a little bit of a swollen nose. Or is it just the angle? If I didn't know better, I'd say that he's been smacked on the nose and he's got a little bit of an abscess growing there, because it looks like it's like a bit of a bulge, like he's had Botox on the top of his nose. Hello, Katie. Wonderful question came from Katie. I would like to know where Katie lives because it would perhaps help in my explanation if you're somewhere in the Western Hemisphere. But Katie was asking about how do vultures know where to find a kill, and is it by sense of smell or what draws them to a kill? And it's very interesting because it actually works differently in different parts of the world. Now here in Africa, in what we refer to as the old world, the world of lions and elephants and things, we have what we call the old world vultures, much like we have the old world bats, the old world spiders. And the old world vultures find their prey by sight, whereas the new world, and the new world is considered to be the Americas, north and south, and the new world vultures have adapted and have been given an olfactory system to allow them to locate their carcasses by smell. Although I don't doubt that sight plays a very, very huge role, because when you're flying up there in the sky you can see things probably before you can smell them. But for all of our African vultures and some of the Eurasian species up there, it's all about visual. And I think a little bit of misconception comes in because there are vultures that will fly at extremely high altitudes. The biggest vulture that we have is the leopard-faced vulture, which is our African equivalent maybe of a condor, but not as big, maybe just a little smaller. It'd be interesting actually comparing a leopard-faced vulture with a condor, Californian or otherwise. But they fly at a very high altitude and they don't necessarily look for a carcass or a kill or a predator. What they are looking at is the smaller vultures that are flying in greater numbers at lower altitudes, in particular things like white-backed vultures that have this huge target on their back because it's a big white patch against a dark green background. Those huge vultures can see things over a much greater area, so they can keep track of so many more groups of vultures. And I suppose the final answer to that question, or to what I've been leading up to, is that we have a couple of species, or not a couple, there are a number of species of smaller birds that fly at a much lower altitude, that are in touch with the predators, and in fact sometimes even spend so much time with predators that they'll actually follow them during the day from tree to tree rather than go and bother to fly around. And that's like the hooded vulture, or quite not as much a scavenger as the tawny eagle and then the battalier eagle. And very often, because of the low altitude that they fly and because of their keen eye from a much lower altitude, they find things that the bigger vultures will never find from flying higher up. But the vultures that are flying higher up are keeping their eyes on the battalier and the tawny eagle and the hooded vulture that are just skimming the treetops. And that's why it kind of happens quite quickly, that you get a couple of birds dropping out of the sky. Katie in Tennessee. Thanks, Katie. That's why once birds start dropping out of the sky, sometimes it happens rather quickly that a lot more birds just suddenly come out of nowhere. And it's not that they have great eyesight or they have great intuition or great foresight or great future telling abilities, just because they can see other birds flying. Sounds like somebody's coming this way. starting to think, is this a hooded or is it a white-backed, I mean a white-headed vulture? Who are my bird lovers? What should we say? Hooded. A very clean hooded. It does sound like somebody's coming to join us with the cats. Teresa wants to know the species and genetic lineage of my monkey. It's not my monkey. I'm just Uncle Mark to this monkey. Kokomo the magnetic monkey. No, don't do that. He hasn't signed a release.
No release form.
No, there's no release form. I let it have him on camera. Just now he'll be suing us for making him public. He's a distant relative of mine. And that can be proven genetically. Because we share some DNA. And a long lost Canadian relative. Who's behind us? Human? Oh, where did they come from? Oh, look at that, those hooded Okay. So I didn't hear any of that because I was talking to people. Go again with that. I didn't get your last about Jigger. Okay, copy that, thanks. Well, that's a relief. But sounds like that problem's not fixed yet. We were looking at that vulture in the tree that I was thinking was hooded, but I kind of revised my thoughts because I was starting to think that maybe it was actually a white-headed. And a second one landed. Just a bit too heavy a beak for a white-headed. That's a white back, by the way. That's what came in and displaced the other hooded that was there. Anyways, he's awake, he's panting, he's looking at us, licking his lips. He doesn't want buffalo anymore, he wants a thumb. I think he wants that cat on your thumb.
I'll fight him.
You'll fight him for your thumb? Okay. Oh, and we're about to be invaded. But it's like Elvis. No, it's not Elvis. How are you? Good. Chris?
Yeah.
You need me to move? Okay. Okay, cool. I'm going to actually just move away a little bit for these guys because they're coming in with their guests. And I think they need to have a little bit better view. I'm kind of blocking the view a little bit. I will move out of the way just a bit. Oh, it flies. Oh, he didn't like that noise. Okay, we're going to switch over to Karula quickly because Jigga's managed to get moving and Jigga has got Karula, so we're going to just switch over to Alex and I'll see you shortly before we switch off tonight. See what these boys are going to do.
She's literally here. We've come like 3 meters. Sorry, ladies and gents, 2 seconds. I've just got to answer a message on the Game Drive channel. Okay, come down the bank where the jackalberry tree is. Swing a left, and then you don't have to go down the drainage line at all. There's the thickets as soon as you come off the embankment straight ahead of you. In between the, you'll see a large tamboti tree ahead of you. In between the tamboti and the jackalberry, just in there. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Just feeding some information to another vehicle. I do owe you a big apology. I got my leopards wrong, so I'll slap myself. I was saying that was Karula that we were with earlier. I was wrong. It was Djuma. This is Karula. So I do apologise. I got mother and son confused. But yeah, she's flat cat as well, and she's a fat cat. She's still pretty full from all her eating earlier in the day. Now it's kind of interesting that she's kind of vacated the area. Ooh, hold on. Interesting that they've kind of switched positions again. Karula will know that Djuma is in the vicinity. So getting back to, I think it was Patty's question earlier, about whether Karula will let another leopard share the kill. This is pretty good evidence that she will, because they're in very close proximity. We did manage to get ourselves out of our current position, out of our last position. But as the crow flies, or as the leopard walks or crawls, not far at all. This drainage line that she's laid in at the moment does lead pretty much straight. Well, it does actually lead straight to where Djuma is currently resting under a bush. Something keeps getting her attention. I don't think it's causing her too much concern, but I think she's just keeping an ear open. You can tell she's keeping her tabs on it by using her hearing by the direction that her ear is pointing. It just keeps moving around, just trying to see if it can pick up any noises. Now, one of the interesting things about cats, the majority of cats, I'm not too sure if it's all cats, but it's certainly the big cats, maybe your domestic cats share this trait as well. When cats are asleep, their hearing doesn't completely shut down or go into as much of a relaxed state as humans do. So if there is a noise, it does wake them up considerably. If there is a noise and if it is fairly quiet, it does wake them up and alert them. Whereas with humans, if there is a noise and it's not too loud, then obviously it won't disturb us. I mean, that differs from person to person. Some people are heavy sleepers, some people are light sleepers. But cats are definitely... Okay, sorry about the interruption there, I was just getting some information fed to me. As I was saying, obviously cats are very light sleepers. If anything does come along or disturb them or make... This girl's probably about 10, maybe 12 years old. She's raised successfully, I think it's about 4 different litters of cubs, which is pretty phenomenal for a leopard in the wild. And the chap that we were with previously, that's one of her sons from the last litter. I've not seen his littermate quarantine around for a while. It'll be quite interesting to see where he's moseyed onto, where he's vanished to. But then again, he could be 20 metres away and we wouldn't really see him, because leopards are fantastically camouflaged. If they don't want you to see them, they won't be seen. She's completely relaxed with us being here. She's very comfortable. Doesn't feel like there's any threat whatsoever from us. What a lovely evening this is turning out to be. The sun's just dropping down below dropping to the horizon. It's cooled down quite considerably to what it was earlier today. Nice ambient temperature. Birds are starting to quieten down as well. They're starting to settle for the night. There's a couple of noisy francolins in the background as well. Quite surprisingly, well, not quite surprisingly, we've got a nice big moonrise coming up into the east. I don't think during the course of the night. Still has a little bit of food left in the pantry. Unless one of her boys decides to come along and help himself, as a lot of young males do. They'll put a hand in the refrigerator and help themselves. I'm caught, just kind of uncomfortable. A couple of francolins in the background which are sounding a bit displeased with something. Can't quite tell what it was, but she's got a half open eye on us, just keeping an interest in what we're doing. Just the occasional flick of the tail. Okay, and Kurula's just given a quick flick of her tail just to kind of give a bit of a wave goodbye. We're going to cross over to Mark. Mark's going to finish the drive for us. So from myself and but then again, saying we didn't see a huge amount, we get 2 leopards. Okay, start again. Okay, apologies guys, looks as though my signal was lost for a second, so I apologise. Kurula and Djuma. So I'm just going to go back to Mark. Mark's going to take us out for the rest of the drive, and I'll say goodbye for now. But hopefully guys, I'll see you soon, and enjoy the rest of your drive. Good night.
Okay, coming to me. Welcome back everyone. still fairly quiet here with these three boys. They haven't gotten back onto the kill yet. There have been a few vehicles coming and going. And just a beautiful sky, a beautiful sunset that is fading the day away. They're a little bit restless, it's cooling down, they're yawning. There are some indications that they're going to get a little bit active. If only to do their ablutions. Now, sitting up because there's some impala that are running towards the background, just sort of behind this group of trees, most likely coming out onto the open area of sandy patch. And just this one boy lifting his head, listening to these impala, not because he wants to go chase them, but it's certainly interesting to him, attracting his attention. This is when maybe accidents can happen, when impala are so busy doing things that they don't know or don't take note of things. They're likely to run through here. And I have to say that if an impala jumped over one of these boys and had the chance to jump up and grab it, they probably would. But most likely more out of instinct than necessity to eat or because of hunger. They've certainly got their plate full at the moment. They're going to be on this buffalo for at least everything is now different. The impala are now starting to alarm. Somewhere they've picked up the scent, and my guess is that they haven't seen anything, but they've picked up the scent, and they are all alarming now. Are you picking that up? Just behind this line of quarry that is behind the lion and the buffalo kill, there's a little bit of an open patch, and that must be where these, I'm guessing, a bachelor herd of impala that are running through there, and I'm guessing it's them. The wind is blowing that way. That's why when we were sitting on that side of the kill, the aroma was very powerful, to put it mildly.
Sting the nostrils.
Yeah, it's a bit of a sting to the nostrils. Yeah, thanks, Brian. But all they're really doing is they're just alerting the whole world to the fact that there's something happening here, especially for those things that are upwind and nobody can smell what's going on. But it doesn't really matter because they have their kill. They don't need to hunt. It doesn't really matter if he's going to get up, he's going to go back to the kill. I think the fact that he's heard these impalas reminded him that he's a bit hungry. Maybe. So I want to... No, he's just gone back around the other side of the guarri bush. And now maybe slightly different tone to the impala, because maybe now they've seen him. I'm just going to turn around and see what he does. We've got a few minutes remaining. We might run a little bit late since we are gifted with such a wonderful thing. Yeah, he's going back to the carcass. So I think we'll just try and find our way around there, maybe see if we can get a glimpse of things as the day wears out.
Hello.
No problem. Fine, and you, my friend? Good. Ah. Kawan nilam vote. To. Ilwe. Oh, damwin. Might be pretty dark in here to be able to see anything. Are we going to try the same trick I tried earlier? Is going around the other side. Actually, you know what? When you look at the two vultures, the hooded vulture and the white-backed, you see the difference in the size of those beaks, the thickness of the beak. And that can give you an idea of how powerful the beak is and what type of meat or what part of the carcass they need. And the smaller beak for softer, fleshier things, the bigger, fatter beak for tearing skin and meat. But the hooded vulture's got something the other vultures don't have. Well, better than the other vultures. They have a tongue that can probably strip flesh off a bone. Yeah, see, now we're downwind. Sorry, vultures. Vultures, a little bit intimidated being here. Now what we need is try to position ourselves. So that we have some sort of view in there. Better forward, huh? See, you're a lot higher than me. Oops. What I'm seeing quite low is see this. Hello, John. John in Connecticut. Wanting to know if the days are getting a little bit shorter now. I think about a minute a day, John. The way your days are getting longer, we've been past the summer solstice. So yes, our days are shortening slightly. I noticed coming in today that the sun had risen a little bit later than before, because normally it's already in the sky when we leave to come to Djuma. I'm going to go back an inch. Right, just Is it back or forward? That's about the best we're going to do. It's just very dense in there, and it's I think it's enough sort of that kind of shot. Well, that's quite nice too. More of his face. We're going to try and position us. Okay, I think we can run a little late. I'll take my chances. Anyways, with the what? Been with these boys all day. Well, we've got a beautiful moon rising, pre-full moon. Coming through the top of that buffalo thorn. Well, it is time to leave them, and I'm hoping that they're going to be here tomorrow morning when we come in, and we can maybe start with them and see what has progressed. I am pretty sure that it's going to be pulled out of the bush, and it's going to be, well, there's going to be a lot more of it missing. The other two boys, is good night to this young man. And good night to this young man sleeping next to the road. Bye bye, boyki. And thanks for joining us today. We've had a super day. It's probably one of the best days in a very long time. We've had 3 big lion and 3 big leopards. So we've had a fantastic afternoon. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for Brian and camera work, and Thumb's excellent panning and zooming. Bye everybody.